What's up, guys? Welcome to our Friday live stream. Happy Valentine's, everyone. Thank you for being our friends here on the channel. Thank you for the support and for, of course, watching the content and learning along with us. So, yeah, there we go. Let's go. Let's start working on today's character. So, for those of you that are a little bit out of the loop, a couple of weeks ago, we started this Mighty Thor character. The stream is on the channel if you want to see it. The first stream was the general block out of the character. I do believe we have color and everything. Yeah, there we go. So the first stream was the general block out, and then the second stream we focused on this bracer right here. So this is almost done. I would probably add a couple of extra little things here and there, but I would say that's pretty much ready. And now we can jump into more parts of the character. So we're going to be working, I think, on the face. Face is one of those things that a lot of people struggle with, and I think this is a good sort of like exercise to work on. So as you can see, our face right now looks horrible. Let's do a little bit of cleanup first. So as you can see, we have this thing right here. Let's delete that, and we're gonna say delete hidden. And I hate when we get this like super horrible border. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna grab my trim dynamic brush, and we're gonna start like flattening that like border. The reason why that border can be problematic is because, as you can see, we got this very like weird webbing of like polygons, and some tools inside of inside of Zbrush, they don't like that. So you can just like smooth them until you get them like completely gone, or as I like to do, just with trim dynamic, flatten them, and there's gonna be a point where there's no other option for them but to disappear. So we're just gonna push this thing in and flatten them. There we go. Yeah, so I was analyzing the models a couple of minutes ago, and one thing that I saw is that they all share pretty much the exact same like shape on the face. Like the only thing that changes is the makeup, but you can technically change like almost everything on the characters, and they're like the exact same characters, and they are very puffy. Like the features of the face are very puffy. I was able to get a couple of images here that let me bring them into where is it? Let me bring them into my PureRef file. Oh, this one, and PureRef. There we go. So as you can see here, the face, especially from a side view, look at how puffy, like the nose, the lips, right, the chin, like all of those like facets, all of those elements, that's what we're going for. And especially because the Mighty Thor, Jane Foster, she doesn't have, like you don't see the eyes, you see mostly like this part of the face. We definitely need to fix that. Now let's get out of this. I feel like the helmet is fine, but the nose is definitely looking way too big. So let's start by modifying that. I'm gonna start with my move brush here. And very importantly, this is a skill that every single artist should learn. Like if you are starting your journey as a sculptor or 3D artist, you always need to learn how to see proportions. Like I see what's the distance between this point to this point right here, and I'm going to try to capture that exact same distance. Like the nostril, right? I can see a little bit of the inside of the nose. So let's start like carving there so that we can see the inside of the nose. Don't worry about the perfection of the form at this point. At this point, what we're looking for is the general shapes and the general forms, okay? Now, I see this distance right here, and I need to make sure that mine matches. I still feel like this nose is way, way too big. So let's start like polishing it a little bit more, bringing it forward. Now, female noses, not all the time, but female noses usually tend to sort of like push up. If you've ever seen like the Disney like princesses like noses, they always tend to like move forward a little bit. So that's what I'm gonna do with this. They create like a slide, and then the point of the nose, like the apex of the nose, is a little bit higher, like that. Okay, train dynamic again, and we start polishing. As you can see, this is another very common mistake. I don't need a lot of resolution, guys. I don't need a lot of polygons to really create and work on the forms of this character. We can do a lot of stuff without that. Now here, of course, thickness wise, this is getting too thick. So again, move brush, and we start pushing. There we go. There we go. And we're going to change the topology in just a couple of minutes. and that's gonna allow us to get a nicer form. But this is how we can start like sculpting. I feel like one of the issues that a lot of people struggle with, I did this when I was a little bit younger, is that we want things to be fast. We want to just like be able to do one brush stroke and that's going to be like a perfect nose. And that's not how it works, right? So it's a lot of like smoothing and changing and moving and like modifying, right? So there's going to be a lot of that going around until we can really find like the forms and the details that we want. You got to be patient. You got to be patient with this process. As we normally say, you got to trust the process. Let's make that a little bit further forward. I'm gonna use Damien Standard here to push the lips a little bit more. And of course, let's soften up the chin. Now, a lot of the things that we're seeing from this particular character is going to come from the makeup, right? Like the texture. So eventually when we paint, you can use poly paint. Should we use poly paint? What do you guys think? Should we use a little bit of poly paint to get a better idea of how the character is looking? I feel like that could be a good option for us. Profe, I have a question. For you, what of the 3 types of path to make hair, like hair cards, modeling, and next-gen is worth to learn right now? And if you know Fibershop, because I saw a lot of artists talk about it. Yes, I know Fibershop. Dude, Fibershop, I can teach you Fibershop in 10 minutes. Like, literally, I can teach you Fibershop right now in 10 minutes. It's like the most like stupid software, but at the same time, it's so good. So Fibershop is this. This is a software to create like hair and hair cards. And the big thing about the software is that it removes the whole process of creating the curves in NextGen and doing things like the curves and modifying them. It's a stupidly simple. Let me show you. I just want to do something here. Let me change the background color a little bit. Okay. So as you can see right here, this is just these are blocks. These are called blocks. So this is what makes up hair cards. And over here we have the modifiers. And you're going to have literally 5 modifiers. You can only have a scatter, bend, curl, noise, and clump. That's it. That's all you need really for hair cards. And if you do this, like if you create a new block right here, let me delete this one. Or actually, I can't delete. You cannot have 0 blocks, but if I could delete this one and just create new block, it's gonna look like this. Then you go to main scatter and you can play with the width, how like thick or thin these things are gonna be. You can play with the depth, which is how much they're gonna have on the depth, like how thick or dense the hair is gonna look. You can change the density here on the width as well, and you can change the randomness over here. Then you add modifiers. For instance, we can add a curl modifier to curl the hair, as you can see. We can like make this a little bit more random. We can change the length of the curl. So there's a bunch of things that we can do here. Then we can add like a noise modifier. Again, we can increase the intensity of the noise, the randomness, the length of the noise. So you create your hair cards like you would normally do when using like XGen or Zbrush or Blender or whatever. You literally do this. Yeah, you can do fur with this ones. Actually, right now this is more like fur. I'm gonna change the material so that it looks like tubes. There we go. So if we go to the 3D view, as you guys can see, this is going to look like tubes, right? Like hair tubes. And once you're happy with this, you can like literally duplicate this like a block and say, okay, that's going to be like my main block. And then I'm going to have a secondary block that's going to be a little bit less intense. It's going to have a little bit less depth. It's going to have a little bit less density right here, you know, to sort of like use it to blend stuff. That's pretty much it. And then you keep going. You keep adding and creating as many blocks as you want. Once you're happy with this, you literally go to bake and you bake your maps, man. You click bake and there we go. We got, that's the albedo map. That's the specular map. That's the ambient occlusion map. That's the alpha map. That's the translucency map. That's the normal map. That's the depth map. So you get all of those maps. You go to export, and you're good to go. That's it. Placing, that's the problem, Mustafa. That's the tricky part. Placing sucks. Like it's the most horrible part of the whole process, placing the hair cards. And we're gonna have to eventually do this with this character because she's got hair coming out of the back of her helmet. So we will do it. But yeah, it's horrible. That software is called Fibershop. It's a standalone software. It's not that pricey, I think. It's fairly priced, I would say. But it's very niche, right? Like you really don't need it. Is that a UV? No, it's not a UV. It does give you automatic UVs. So it exports the cards and you can just like start placing them, but it's not a UV map. That software in particular is literally just used to generate the hair card maps. Okay, that's the goal of that software. Okay, let's make this a little bit more puffy. Yeah, it's a one-time pay. It's pretty cheap. It's like $150 for perpetual license, or $50 if you just want to have it for like a year. So yeah, I think it's fairly priced. Yeah, for BFX, Anthony, XGen is the way to go. And nowadays, you can even have games with XGen as well. Like, you can export the fibers even into Marmoset to render the fibers. So I think more and more games are going to have that sort of like approach. But knowing haircuts is really, really important, because not every game is going to be running at those sort of like densities, right? XGen, or using actual fibers, is really expensive performance-wise. I have fiber shop, used it 3 times in a year, lol. Yeah, I mean, but if those 3 times can pay for itself, then I think it's worth it. Just want to thank you for all the amazing content. You're an exceptional artist and teacher. Cheers. Thank you, Howie. Thank you very much, and welcome. Welcome to the channel. Okay, so this is one of the places or the situations where I would say, if you're not going to be modeling something, like in our case, for instance, we're really not going to be modeling the top part of the head, we might want to delete it, to be honest. And the reason why that is because it might distract us more than it will help us. And at any point, we can go back and see the helmet. So it's not like we're not going to be able to see what's going on. But sometimes when you're seeing more stuff than you actually need, it can be quite distracting, okay? So keep that in mind. Now here, I am going to start adding a little bit more volume, for instance, on the cheeks. Just a little bit here. I'm going to change my alpha now. I'm going to start working with a round alpha, like alpha 48, for instance. I recently got a new couple of brushes, but I don't think I have installed them yet here. And then trim dynamic. Yeah, actually, in Marmoset is very heavy on the GPU, but it's good for presentation purposes. It's a good thing, I would say. But yeah, if you're gonna be working on the game industry and you want to be doing characters, you definitely need to know how to do haircuts. It's not fun. I'm gonna be the first one to tell you. It's not like the most like fun thing in the world, but it's important. I'm going to use Move Brush here. A little bit more volume here. Here on the cheekbones. I'm looking at the high points, low points. I know there's a lot of, like, again, texture work involved in that particular character. But we can still see a little bit of the shadow of where this thing should be. Can you just action? Yes, you can. I've seen some processes, Casey. I don't love it for human hair, or for like a character's hair. But if you're doing like creatures and you're doing fur, that's a very like relatively easy way to place the cards, because it's a little bit more general, right? Let's open up the nostrils a little bit more. Not too much. And now this is a good point to start increasing resolution. So I'm already at 2000. So that means that I'm not going to be able to really up the resolution too much. So what we can do here is just remove Dynamesh and just give it a subdivision level. And by doing that, we're like dividing everything into 4, right? So we're subdividing the character, and we should have a little bit more geometry to work with. There we go. We got Sarn on the house. What's up, Sarn? What's up, David? Welcome. Started a little bit earlier today. Oof, that's a great question, man. Use a snake hook for what? Oh, for the hair, you mean, John? How's the industry doing? I recently saw that there was more layoffs happening. I think what the Unity guys, I think, Was it Unity that laid people off? So unfortunately, things are still not great. That's the reality. Things are still not great. But I can tell you that they are definitely better than they were at the beginning of last year. So things are improving, but it's still gonna take some time. And here's one of the sad truths, guys. It's probably not gonna go all the way to where it was a couple of years ago during COVID. You know how in every industry there's always like highs and lows, and sometimes there's like very, very big highs and very, very big lows. So I don't think we're gonna be able to go all the way to that point in COVID where everyone was looking for 3D artists and there was like a lot of demand and salaries were like super high. I don't think that's gonna happen. But that doesn't mean that there's no hope, right? Like, it just means that we need to adapt and understand that the situation, the global situation, the industry situation has changed. So a little bit more puffiness here on this lips. There we go. There you go. Hello, first time here for creation haircuts as base using Photoshop. Yeah, we'll shoot. You just missed the demo. I showed you guys Photoshop like literally like 5 minutes ago, and it's very, very, very easy and very fast to use it for that kind of things. Let me see. Like, what I want to avoid is this sort of like duck face thing with lips. Like, I do want to have like a nice sharp like border, but I don't want to over exaggerate it. And it's all about checking and following the forms and the shadows, right? So these are like very delicate parts to work on. Lips, eyes, noses. They're a fundamental part of the character. I'm gonna make that a little bit smaller. And there's a lot of softening involved. Very, very smooth, nice effects that we want to have here. Now the neck is usually a little bit straighter, so I'm gonna push the neck a little bit more like this. And what we should see sometimes, again, it depends on how strong the character is this muscle right here called the sternocleidomastoideus muscle. So we're going to see a little bit of a volume there. In female characters, we usually see a very like intense like clavicle here. But since she's got this like a breastplate, I don't think we're going to see it too much. Now, this material is definitely not helping. And the reason why the material is not helping is because it's not really allowing me to see the forms. So this is a tip that I got from a friend of mine. And what he says is that he likes to use polypaint to paint a little bit of the character sometimes. Especially, again, a little bit of like makeup and stuff like that. Just to get an idea of how shapes are going to read. So I'm going to grab this exact same color here. I'm just going to make it a little bit deeper, a little bit redder here. I'm going to change the CAD to RGB and bring the RGB intensity down. And literally, as if it was lipstick, I'm going to paint in the lipstick. This is not going to be the final like color, right? But it's going to give us a nice idea of how the volume of the lips is reading compared to everything else. Now I'm going to grab this color again. Just clean up the border there on the lipstick. And if it's too much, I feel like it might be a little bit too much. I'm just going to do like very soft passes on top of it. Just sort of like blend it in a little bit more. I'm going to grab that one again. Fill in the inside specifically. You can do the same, for instance, on the nose. We can add, you know, a little bit of red on the nose. Not too much, maybe on the cheeks. I think this is definitely too much, but I'm going to add a little bit too much, and then I'm going to grab the same color again. I'm just going to softly sort of like blend it in with opacity. And just having that extra color can really like change the way we see the character. So So it's a good way to do it. Wolf Girl! Oh my god. Thank you for the gifts, Wolf Girl. Thank you very much. Oh, God bless you. There you go. Thank you. Sternocleidomastoideus muscle. That's the one. Just go. What's up, man? Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the stream, guys. Now, for instance, here, one thing that I'm immediately seeing is that the distance between the nose and the lips is way too intense. So either I move the nose down or I move the lips up. And I think I'm going to move the lips up. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to mask the nose and move the lips up a little bit. Of course, that means that I'm going to have to clean this volume here that gets created like that weird line. Just smooth it up. I also want to clean this little like connection that we get. They call this Cupid's bow sometimes. Let's see, there we go. So it's that like division that we see right there. Now the chin looks way too big. And unfortunately, this is one of those things in character creation that really require a lot of finicky like movements. It's a lot of changes and movements until you really find these are like perfect forms that you're looking for. So if you're doing faces, guys, any kind of character, be very patient. Let's bring in the helmet. I feel like without the helmet, it's a little bit difficult to... There we go. Yeah, that's going to be a little bit easier to evaluate. Let's see, am I missing something here? Thank you, Volker. Happy Valentine's as well. Oh, Aaron, so here's how Twitch works, at least from my understanding. If you subscribe to the channel, you pay a little fee, I think, and you get access to like special emoticons and things like that, and you get access to the little star that people have here on the chat. So in really big channels, right, when you're not a subscriber, you may be limited to how fast you can comment. You might be limited to like the interactions that you can have. We have in the Discord channel, we have a special channel for people who are subscribed here on Twitch as well. It's a little sort of like I wouldn't call it like private zone, but like a little thank you zone for all of the Twitch subscribers. And the subscriptions help us, right? Like the subscriptions, you don't get ads, as someone is saying there, and it helps us, right? Like that's a donation that you do. Of course, Twitch takes a cut, but we do get part of that donation, and it helps support the channel. Okay, I definitely feel that the shape is looking good, but I feel like the face is looking a little bit too strong. There we go. There we go. Okay, so I think that's a good it's good enough for now for the face. I can definitely polish it a little bit more. Okay, let's do this. There we go. That's a lot closer to what should we be getting. Okay, can you see the issue here? Can you see why my face is looking weird? It's looking weird because as we see here in the reference, this is a lot sharper, right, than what we have right here. So that means that this jawbone right here should be going further up, so that when we see it from the front, it's not as intense. And those are kind of like the art direction things that you need to be very, very conscious about whenever you're doing anything, fan arts or following a reference. I think we do, don't we, David? I'm pretty sure we do have one. I'm not sure if it's updated. It should be. But I'm not sure if it's just for those who sub or for those who get gifted. There we go. So that's looking better here on the front. Now let's go to the side. Side's going to be a little bit more difficult to evaluate because of the hair covering it. Maybe the neck is way too far forward or backward. Hey, thanks for the follow, Sutigno, Arthur. Thank you, thank you. And just so that this doesn't look extremely weird, let's push it back up. And of course, we need to get the volume back there from the back of the head. I know it looks super weird right now, guys. It's part of the process. The early stages of characters always look so weird. Oh yeah, don't we have, David, like if you're subscribed to Twitch, there's like a special role that you get? I'm not sure if that... Oh no, you know what? It's not the special channel for Twitch subscribers. That's the special channel for the server boosts, right, Sarn? I think on Discord, the Archmage thing that we have. I think that's server boosts, not Twitch subs. Twitch subs get a special role, I think, on Twitch on Discord. Yeah. Sorry, guys. I messed up there. My bad. Oh, and the thing about female faces, like male faces are tricky, right? Like faces in general are tricky, but female faces are so subtle. Yeah, that's right. As we get a little bit bigger and bigger, and we get more support here on the channel, we'll do more things, okay, guys? Just be patient. So yeah, female faces are tricky because of the subtlety of the details. There we go. Okay, so now you guys are going to vote. Let me know what's going to be the next part that we do. Do we do the helmet? Do we do the breastplate? Or do we do the belt? Those are going to be the three options for today. Helmet, breastplate, or belt. You pick. You guys pick. Helmet, breastplate, or belt. We got one vote for helmet from Sven. Helmet from a mango. Okay. Helmet from Casey. Breastplate from John. Helmet from Casey. I think Hamlet is Wilkie. We're winning. Okay, we'll do the helmet. So let's start with the wings, because this part of the helmet is relatively simple. We can do it like super fast. So I want to focus on one of the tricky parts, which is going to be this one right here. And I'm going to show you a method that we can use, and I'm going to try to do everything here inside of Zbrush to really build this in a nice, clean way, and then bring it in back with the character, okay? So I'm going to clone this. We're actually not going to work on the character right now. We're going to work on a copy of the character on this clone right here. And here's a cool tip. If you, for instance, let's say we have... no. Where is it? Let's get rid of symmetry. and let's hide one of this and delete. So let's say we have this one, right? And I want to center it because it's not on the center of the environment right now. So if you want to center a piece, the best thing you can do is append a new piece, anything like a cube or something. And when you append something new, like this cube right here, even if it's like extremely big, it will always be sort of like born on the x-axis, like on the origin of the world, right? So if you select that cube and then go to align and click on this align horizontal centers, this thing will align itself to the cube, which is going to make it so that I can just go to this piece right here, center the pivot point, and I should be able to find the perfect sort of like measurement right there, okay? So something like that. I'm going to align it again. Well, I'm going to select the cube and align that again. There we go. So now this one, we don't need the cube anymore. This one right here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a mirror and then mirror and weld. And as you can see, we've just mirrored both elements on both sides. So this is going to allow me to have this as a reference for what we're about to build. So I was showing you one of the pictures that we got from Marvel Rivals, and I want to show you this one right here. Look at Wanda. So Wanda has a headdress as well, and she's got like this medallion, and she's got like a lot of pieces. But look at how simple the pieces are, right? So the shape language of the character in general are simple shapes. They're going for this very sort of like angular, faceted like pieces or shapes that overlap with each other. Like this very nice overlap that we get right here is what's really reading as an interesting figure. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna append, for instance, here a let's do a sphere. And this sphere, for instance, I'm gonna make it very small, and that sphere is gonna be on the center right there, correct? So that's the sphere right there of the center of the helmet. First, I'm gonna scale it down, something like that, to get a nice shape. So that's gonna be the sphere of the helmet. It's gonna live right around there. Now, to make it a little bit more interesting, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use my knife curve, and I'm gonna remove one half of it like that. So it's gonna be like a bevel sphere. And of course, here I need to mirror, and weld, and this is gonna be my first piece. This is gonna be the sort of shape language that we're gonna be following to make up the whole helmet. So once I understand that this is the shape language, the next thing that I need to do is I need to start creating like the wings. And we have this wing right here, and then 1 feather, 2 feathers, 3 feathers, and then this section right here. So I'm going to start with the top wing here. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use a select lasso to isolate this piece right here, right? And that's the piece that we're going to be sort of like working with. So I'm going to say split hidden. Now this is going to be a different piece. Let's hide the other one. Dynamesh, right? So that we close the whole thing. We're going to Dynamesh with a high resolution and with polish. And this is what we get. And what I want to do is I want to really clean up this shape right here. So with Demi the standard, I'm going to start sketching the direction of this wing piece. Or wing piece. So this thing is going to be going all the way over here. Okay. Train dynamic, we're going to push that right there. And this curve as well, we're going to keep everything very curved and very nice. So we're going to curve this one as well right there. So I'm thinking about like if we were creating like a car, right? And you've all seen cars, they tend to be very aerodynamic. So I think we definitely want to have like some really interesting curves right here on this piece. Now, as you can see, I forgot to turn on symmetry. I'm just doing it on one side. Don't worry. Mirror, and weld. By the way, this interface, if you guys want to use my exact same interface, if you join the Discord and then go to the resources like channel, there's a Google Drive folder, and you can download the my interface right there. It's not like completely updated, so a couple of buttons might be missing, but most of them should be there. Pank Art, what's up, man? Welcome to the channel. Okay, let's see. Yeah, I'm gonna reference Thor hammer as well. So we're gonna do that light right there. Okay. And I really like how it becomes like a little bit thin here so we can see the circle. I think that looks interesting. This piece right here, I'm going to use move infinite depth, so that we can push this and really like capture the exact same sort of like silhouette and form. I don't mind having overlaps. A lot of people get like really mad about overlaps. They're not the end of the world, but don't worry too much about them. There we go. Okay, now we do need to clean this up. Now, there's multiple ways to clean this up. We can try cleaning it up here inside the Zbrush, or we can go into Maya and just do clean topology, or topogon, right? And just do clean topology. If you ask me what method I prefer, I would just go into Maya. So we're probably going to do that, but I want to make sure that we get the most out of what Zbrush has to offer before we go into Maya, okay? So we're going to sculpt like the whole like wing helmet first, and then we'll jump into Maya and clean it up there. There we go. Have you created a workflow for Zbrush Polypaint to Unreal render? I showed that. Have I showed that? I don't think I have showed that, to be honest, Fanart. But it's not difficult. Like the Polypaint information gets saved with the FBX. So if you export the Polypaint and you export the FBX, there should be a very easy way to just get the information into Unreal. Okay, so that line is interesting because it needs to. There we go. Flow from a specific point. Yeah, we could try using Siri Mesher. Zbrush like sketching in 3D. Yeah, Zbrush is dude, Jojo, you haven't never seen Zbrush before? Because Zbrush is like an amazing software for sculpting. Now here's where we can be a little bit creative. You guys want to see something cool? So I want to give this thing a little bit more of a loop, just to make it a little bit more interesting. And what I can do is I can mask this area right here, smooth the mask, invert the mask, and then place the pivot point, let's say right around there. And if I bring the focal shift down, it's kind of like softening the movement. See that? And we get that effect right there. Let me just make sure that get that effect. We can try turning on. Can we turn on? Oh no, the move doesn't work with Sculptris Pro. That's a shame. Oh, yeah, I'm just gonna like rotate this probably from around here. There we go. Look at that. See that? So we're using the gizmo with a little bit of fall off on the focal shift so that we get a more like interesting loop. They use that quite a bit to do like the ornaments. Someone was asking about ornaments last week when we were doing like the door and stuff like that. So that one works right. What was the name of the software for hairstones? Fivershop. Yeah, it's called Fivershop. Yeah, you can definitely access Polypaint data on Unreal. I believe it's called Vertex Color or something like that. So there's definitely a way to access that data. I bought the Zbrush course and started. Never thought I could learn Zbrush. Right? It's way easier than people think. I know there's a lot of fear because it can be a little bit intimidating to start at first, but once you get the hang of it, it's a really like sick software. So here I'm gonna push the sort of like S curve of the helmet a little bit. So like a nice little like connection right there. And now we need to do this wings. So I'm definitely gonna have to make this a little bit thicker, and I'm gonna explain why in just a second. Because we want to create the overlap, right? Oh. So for these wings right here, I'm going to use a different technique. Let me quick save real quick. I'm going to append a cube. Make this cube smaller. Oh. Wait a second. There we go. Make the cube smaller. Let's turn this off for just a second. to find the proper thickness for this cube. It's gonna be right around there, right? Because it needs to be a little bit smaller than the other one. Not too small, something like that. Even if I need to make the other one a little bit thicker, I will do it. And then if I turn this on, you can see that we have this very interesting shape. So I'm going to Dynamesh the cube at a high resolution. And then I'm going to use the knife curve. And knife curve, what's going to allow me to do is I'm going to be able to cut this in a very nice clean curve right there. See that? So I actually want the opposite, so I'm going to have to start up here. I want to see if I can capture it with just one, like, nice swoop. Let's do something like that. And then like that. There we go. And then let's turn this off. Like the connection point should also be a little bit smoother, right? Look at that. Nice. Now, of course, we need to follow this pattern right here. And there we go. So we've created this very nice sharp form, right? That's exactly what we're looking for. This is the kind of like a wing like section that we want to have for the helmet. Eventually, when we clean this up inside of a Maya for like with really clean corners and everything, it's gonna look super tight. Right now, I know it looks a little bit messy. I probably do want to make this sort of like smaller on the tip. So like conform to a point, maybe. There we go. Now this one, I'm going to do something interesting. I'm not sure if I've shown this before, but there's one thing that we can do called Bevel Pro. Okay, I'm going to quick save because this is one of those things that can break sometimes. So if we go to Bevel Pro, I can hit Bevel Pro. It's going to open a little extra software. It lives within Zbrush, but it's an extra software out of Zbrush, and it's this thing right here. And it has a couple of things that we can do. So we can change the bevel amount, for instance. And the red color right there that we're seeing is the bevel itself. You can see it right there. So that's gonna like cut it. We can try like a chamfer. No, bevel is fine. And yeah, I'm just gonna say auto apply. And there we go. Look at that very clean bevel. It's not gonna be perfect, as you can see. We got a little bit of an issue right here because of polygroups, but we can fix that in just a second. It's gonna give us something that looks okay. As you can see, that's a nice little bevel right there. So if we turn on polish now and increase the resolution in Dynamesh, really increase the resolution in Dynamesh, maybe a little bit more. There we go. Now I can go here with my, again, trim dynamic, and if I just follow this shape right there, I should be able to fix those little like weird corners. So Bevel Pro is a really, really strong tool for this kind of elements. There we go. Look at how clean that looks now. Let's see. Hi, Ave. I got to know that my parents don't like what I do in this field. I think they don't like it because I spend most of my time in Warhammer practicing to get better. What would I do? Quit 3D? It's your life, man. Right? Gary B has a very like cool advice about that. If you are living under the roof, right? If you are dependent on them, if they're paying for everything for you, your food, your house, right? Like all of the electricity bills and things like that, you're gonna have to, you know, cooperate and find like a way to come to an agreement, right? Because at the end of the day, you're still dependent on them. I'm not sure how old you are. But if you're not and you really want to pursue this, you might need to take some sacrifices or make some sacrifices, and that might mean going and living with a couple of roomies in a small apartment or something, so that you can keep pursuing this passion of yours. My advice is always try to be smart about the decisions that you make. So, for instance, I know several of my students who had this agreement with their parents. It's like, hey, you're gonna study a normal career, like a normal college degree. I just need you to have the diploma. Like, I don't know, be an accountant or something. And once you have that, you can do whatever you want. Because if it fails, like that's the sort of like security that parents want. Is like, if you fail at your like 3D stuff or your art stuff, you always have something to sort of like fall back onto, right? Some people like to do that. They're like, okay, I'll go and do whatever like a career you guys want me to do, just so that you feel comfortable with this and you support me later on. It is unfortunate, and I'm gonna tell you, I know it sucks. I was very lucky that my parents did support my career switch when I did it. I know not everyone has that opportunity, but hey, like that's how the world works, right? That was your agreement as well, David? Yeah. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I would love to do this that I'm doing right now full time. Like, if I could stream, like, I don't know, 3 times a week and just record videos and do courses, I would love to do that. But my wife and I, we have an agreement. It's like, hey, until that allows to pay the bills perfectly, right, and ensure that we can keep our quality of life. Like, we're not trying to be millionaires or anything, but until we can do that comfortably, you still need to do other stuff. So it's part of life, right? Some people risk it all and they like, I don't care, I'm gonna live in a freaking like Starbucks or something just to make this happen, and it works for them. But for others, it doesn't, right? So it becomes like a little bit of a gamble at the end of the day. What do I do other than this? I teach at universities. I teach at a couple of universities. I'm a mentor at Think Tank, and I teach some classes at what's the word, at a local university here. Why is this not working the way I want it to work? And I have a small studio where we developed AR and VR things for museums. Those are like my other career choices. Well, not career choices. I don't know what the exact word would be. So here, I'm going to just duplicate this one. Move it down. Scale it a little bit. Actually, kind of want to push this out a little bit. Like that little flare right there. What do you guys think? Do you guys like that? I think it looks interesting, right? Like having a little bit of negative space right there. I think that works. Yeah. I mean, I am fortunate enough to be able to do 3D for a living. Like all of my income or revenue streams come from doing something 3D related. But I know people who do 3D on the side. They're like, I don't know, an architect, and they do construction and things like that. And on their off time, they like to do environments. So there's a lot of ways to make it in this world, guys. Artificial intelligence will make the years we spent on this matter go to waste. Nah, man, it's not. It's not. And I'm not gonna talk. I don't want to talk about like AI right now, but I've talked about this plenty of times and explained why AI is not going to destroy our industry. It will change the industry, definitely, as technology has done for humanity throughout like all the existence of humanity, right? Every time there's a big technological discovery, things change. You gotta adapt, man. It's not gonna go away. So yeah, I prefer to see things in a more interesting or more hopeful way, as someone there was saying. Okay. So as we keep going down on this like wings, they change form a little bit. At least on the initial design, they were going up. But they were getting a little bit more of a belly down here. I'm gonna start pushing that belly a little bit. Same for this one, actually. Oh, well, actually, I'm making a huge mistake here. Well, I mean, it's big enough that it doesn't matter too much, but I need to use the move infinite. That's very, very important. So that we have a little bit more control over the silhouette. I make tortillas, illustrations in 3D. Dude, that's awesome. What kind of tortillas? Flour tortillas or corn tortillas? I don't know. Well, it's okay. I'm trying to look at the shape language, making sure that the shape language is working nice. This one, Saulo Macedo, the Move Infinite goes through the whole depth of the file. So, especially when you got very thick characters, right? Like with like big arms or something, it will move everything. So it kind of like goes through the object. If I were using the normal move, sometimes you move one part and it doesn't move it uniformly on the back, as you can see right there. So Move Infinite is really, really good when you want to move everything at the same time. It works specifically well with this kind of like elements, right? Kind of want to follow again the wing shape or the S shape that we have on the upper element. But then this last one is looking a little bit weird. I mean, I don't mind things that don't look perfectly symmetrical. I just want to make sure that it makes sense. Okay, and then we're gonna have the final one. It's gonna be right around here. There we go. It's all about clean curves, right? So making sure that we have a nice... I don't love that one. I'm gonna be honest. Like, that sucks. That one right there. It's not really working. Yeah, it's not... That's a great take right there, Ohm. AI is not gonna take the jobs. People who know how to use AI will take the jobs. That's the sort of like secret to that little like transition that's gonna happen technology wise, right? But here's the thing, people love doing things, right? Like when digital cameras came around, people still were using traditional cameras with film. When I mean, for Christ's sake, there's still people doing like claymation and things like that, right? Like Leica and like a motion, what's the word of that? Stop motion stuff. Guillermo del Toro did one. Yes, it's not going to be as profitable, or it's not going to be as like well known as other techniques. But if there's one thing that you really like to do, you can keep on doing it. I really don't like the flow of these things right here. That one, the last one, I really hate. The first two, I don't mind, but I still don't love. There we go. Yeah, it's probably gonna be a different one on the last one, as you said, like a rounder one. So that's a little bit better. I'm gonna do the same for this one. I'm gonna give it like a belly like this. Unfortunately, we're losing a lot of form on the bevel. Yeah, exactly, Becker Draw. Some people continue. Like I met a guy who still did like a marble sculpting. He would buy blocks of marble, like the rock, freaking marble rock, and he would do sculptures with that one. So yeah, but you gotta understand this, guys, and this is something I tell everyone, even the parents, because I sometimes get meetings with parents that are like scared about the future with this stuff. It's like, hey, you gotta understand, if you're gonna be doing something and you see that the market's not going in that direction, well, you might be able to make a living out of it, but you might not be a millionaire, right? Like if you want to be a millionaire, you probably want to pick a different career, because this is not gonna be the one that's gonna get you there. Okay? But if you want to like do cool stuff, you want to work in games, if you want to have your name in the credits of a movie, that's awesome. Like, goals are awesome, but we got to be realistic, because what we want is, we want a career that's easy, that's fast, that gives you a lot of money, that gives you a lot of prestige, that allows you to travel, enjoy the world. Like, that doesn't exist, man. That's a freaking fantasy. Oh, there you go. That's a great use of AI there, Sven. Use AI to help you, to explain things to you in different terms. Yeah, it's like a private teacher, right? The only unfortunate thing about AI, and you guys should be aware of this, is that AI doesn't know anything. It just has all of the information, and it finds the best possible match to whatever it is you are like asking for, right? That's that's how the AIs work, the model languages. It's almost impossible to become a millionaire outside entrepreneuring nowadays. Yeah, that's true. I wanted to say, don't be afraid of AI. Fear people who use AI. But even then, again, yeah, I mean, yes, it is true. It's not to fear the people; it's to understand what's going on. And here's another important fact, guys. You guys need to be well prepared, so that when someone says, "Oh, but I could do that with AI," you have a counter to that, and you're like, "Yes, but this is what I, as a human, will bring to the table that AI cannot." Right? Because if an AI can do what you can do, like if they're to the same level as you, it's like, oh man, well, from a business perspective, it's difficult, right, to make the choice. But if you're like, hey, not only can I do 3D and models and stuff like this, I can do design, I can problem solve, right, or troubleshoot. I know how to use this specific like method or whatever. So that kind of like tools and elements can be very helpful. It's definitely looking a little bit better. I'm gonna change materials. I normally don't do this. I'm gonna use like this green metallic, because it looks a little bit closer to what we would expect to be working with later on. And this is mainly to give me an idea of how things are gonna look. What I'm thinking that could eventually help, and this is probably gonna be in texturing, is to add like a couple of extra lines here. What do you guys think? Like, I think those like extra lines could definitely help. But that's gonna be texturing, like it's not really gonna be on the model. I think that could work. Hey, Juan Guerra, what's up, man? Okay, so we got those shapes. Now we need this shape right here. So I'm gonna use select lasso. To grab that shape right there. Delete hidden. Oh, actually. No, split here. Split hidden. There we go. And we go back to this one. Dynamesh. And let's hide this one. So again, boof, infinite depth. And this one's gonna push right there. Let's play again with our curvatures. Polish, really increase the resolution. wealth. Oh, I really like that little line that we got right there. And I like this sort of like form. Probably just with trim dynamic. There we go. So again, this is just, remember guys, this is just a blocking pretty much of the shape. We're going to be cleaning this up. Mango, you were asking about the process that we did for door, for the shoulder pad. This is what I did. I did a quick like sketch of the ram like a shoulder thing. And then once I had that like figured out, I took this into Maya and I cleaned it up. Look at that, that looks nice. Okay. Again, making sure that all of the silhouette and all of the curves are reading nicely, right? Thank you, Sven. See you on the next one, dude. Ivan Kolik made a complete case of your AI for people who know how to use it. Yep. Yep. There we go. I like that shape right there. I think that's it. That's a good shape. Definitely going to make it a little bit thinner. So that we can still see that circle. And definitely need to push this flat. So I'm going to use, again, my knife curve here. Just like flatten that a little bit. There we go. Oh, it's got like poly paint information. Nice. You're only using Maya instead of Simular because this is supposed to be a game master, or by preference? It's by preference. It's by preference. I could do everything. Like I could do retopology here with like C-spheres. God save me if I had to do that. But yeah, it is possible to do everything in here. I'm way faster in Maya. I'm probably gonna be doing this in Topogon, to be honest, because even Topogon is even faster. And now we can do it in Maya. It's not a complicated piece. Okay, so now we're just missing this freaking piece right here, this bottom section. So I'm going to do, again, select lasso, this section right here. Now we can actually delete hidden because we got everything else. And I'm just going to work on this right here. So again, I'm going to use move infinite to find like the proper shape that I want first. Let's polish and Dynamesh. Yeah, that doesn't look too bad. Kind of like that. What do you guys think? You guys like this shape? I think this one could be round. Let me do a mirror and wealth. Let's see. Gabriel, what's up, man? Yeah, we're having a great day. Today's definitely better. As I mentioned, guys, the beginning of the week was rough. Very rough for me, at least. Yesterday was a better day. And today's a good day. Make this a little bit thicker. because I like that little like band right there, that overlap. And then we can have like an accelerated section in this area. 3D Manic says, hey, hey, sorry for being late today. We have a busy week at work. No worries, man. Happy to have you here. Happy to have all of you guys here. By the way, this is a safe place, my friends. So, I know there's a lot of people who don't like to chat usually. You can ask questions, guys. There you go, like Castillo, Andrea here. Hello, just started learning Maya. What would you recommend a beginner as a project? Thanks in advance. I have a little course where we do a diorama. So like a little room or like a little island of something. That's usually a cool one. I did a pirate island. I'm not sure if you've seen this one. You probably have before. That was in 2023, right? I think it was. 2023, Maya, Pirate Den. There we go. So we did this little scene right here. We started with the basic blocking here, and we go through the process of making the whole little scene with animation and everything, rendering everything. So this kind of exercises I think are great to learn and to start your career. It's a relatively simple one to do. It teaches you the basics and the fundamentals on how to work on like multiple assets and build something that tells a little story, right? And yeah, it's a fun one. It's a fun one. Ivan Kolik says, I also had a lot of problems with modeling characters. I was looking at various courses until I met Leal. I've learned a lot and apply his advice. I'm here modeling and creating characters thanks to him. Thanks, man. Thanks. I'm glad my teaching style has helped you. See, that's the only thing I don't like about AI. It takes away the interpersonal thing, right? Like, you learn a lot from other people's. Like, other people's experiences, other people's works. Like, that kind of stuff is really valuable. And AI doesn't have a lot of that. That's why I still think that it's not going to take everything out. Because you still will learn a lot from other people. Okay, so this is definitely looking okay-ish. It's not great yet, but I like it. And usually liking it's the first step towards something. I mean, it's definitely looking way better than what we had before, right? Like the original, just like the sketch. I actually quite like it, to be honest. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to merge everything. So merge visible. And I'm going to go back to Thor here. Let's delete this subtool. We don't need it anymore. And we're going to pen the merge version. Then we're going to center it. And position it where it would go. Just to see whether or not it works, right? And I think it does. I really think it does. So that's a good sign. So the fact that it works right here, that tells me that we're in like the right direction, I think. So now we need to take this into Maya and really clean it up. Really clean it up. Because you're not like, you can really polish something in this kind of stuff, but it's a lot easier to do it in other softwares. So this is 140,000 points, not too much, so I think this is fine. I'm just gonna export this. Let's call this high poly earpiece or wing piece. And let's go to Maya. Any plans on making a full rigging in Maya course on your website? No, I don't think I'm gonna do a rigging course, man. I don't think, and the reason is, even though I know how to rig, I'm not a rigger. So it will feel very, like I did a rigging course in the past, and it was just like the fundamentals of rigging, like what are bones, what are joints, how skinning works, how to make a general character. But it's not something I feel really comfortable teaching. And one thing that I've mentioned before is I'm not going to make a course that I don't feel comfortable teaching, because it will feel very disingenuous, dishonest, I think, to teach you something as if I'm a master at it. It's like, no. If I feel proficient at it and I feel like I can teach you stuff that has not been covered in like the videos or something, I'll do a course. But I don't like teaching stuff that I don't feel comfortable with. I want to make sure that I keep my reputation as teaching things that I know of, right? 50K? That's a... How much RAM do you have, not by a guy? How much RAM do you have on your computer? That rigging course of yours in YouTube save a project of mine. yeah. I mean, again, the basics of rigging, they are there, right? But and I can definitely do more videos about that, like a short course or something, for free here on YouTube. But I wouldn't like to do a full rigging course because rigging is such an advanced topic. Well, it's not an advanced topic, but there's so much things about rigging that yeah, I don't want to do it. Let's see. Mighty Thor wing piece. There we go. Yeah, it shouldn't be lagging, man. Make sure to update your drivers. There might be some issue with the topology, but no, like 48 gigabytes of RAM, like you should be doing well. Like right now, for instance, this is a problem, right? Oh, it's not. What? Like one of these pieces got exported the wrong way. This one right there, and this one right there. That's unfortunate. So I'm gonna have to re-export. So file, new scene, don't save. Very common thing. Or Zbrush does this all the time. I hate it. But when you export, don't export an OBJ. That was my mistake right there. Export in FBX. Because sometimes when you export in OBJ, it does that. It will split everything into multiple pieces. There's an option that you can disable as well. But yeah, no. Marius says, hi Abe, when it comes to things that get really thin, is it better to have geo or just keep it at the plane with double-sided material? It depends. Like if it's a paper, I will usually keep it as a like single-sided geometry. But even for cloth, at least when I'm doing the high poly, I do like to have thickness just because it gives me a better like view of what I'm doing. But it really depends on the object. Like not everything is the same. There's a great rigging course by P2 Design. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, there's a lot of rigging, amazing rigging artists out there. I'm working on that, XBO, and yeah, it's definitely gonna be long. Like I think the last time I checked, yeah, it's probably gonna be the longest like course. I'm not sure exactly how many hours it's gonna be, but it's gonna be a long course. That's the problem with it. It's that's why it's taking me so long to finish, because it's a lot of stuff. But I'm working on it. We did if you didn't see the last stream last week, we did an asset that we're gonna be using. That we did a door, like a big wooden door. And I did that to keep speeding up the process. Okay, so we're gonna do mesh and separate here, and we're gonna start. I hate the basic. I don't know what it is that now the basic material that we get is this like super horrible, like very like bright color. There we go. So let's start with this piece. This is an easy piece to retopo. And we're just gonna hit poly surface, and we're gonna start doing it. So this is where your knowledge of retopology really comes into play, because we really want to capture the hard or the high points, right? The hard surface points of this like perimeter right here. And remember the rules, guys. When we're doing topology, you want to keep the distance of your squares fairly like equal. Now the cool thing about this process of this retopology of a high poly that we're eventually going to bring back into Zbrush is that this high poly can eventually be my low poly as well. So here the flow of points changes, right? So that means that I need to create like a little star, as you can see right there, that's going to continue towards the tip of the object. Same for this one right here. Can you see how this there's a line that's coming in this direction right here, and then we're going to stop right here. How do we stop that flow? With a triangle. A triangle, but hey, if triangles are the devil. Nah, triangles are fine. I don't know who made that assumption and started teaching it everywhere that triangles are bad for modeling. They're fine. If you know how to control them, they're fine. They're actually very, very valuable. But you need to know how to control them, like here, right? Now we have this little section this section right here that has a little bit of a bevel. So that to me tells me, hey, there's a triangle there. Oh, like that should be a triangle. And then we can use creasing, or we can use, again, edge loops. Like there are ways to control the flow of topology. Right now, for this very basic retopology, I am going to use triangles. In what situations would you swap over to Maya instead of using Siri Mesh and Simulator? In this kind of situations where I really want to have like full control of my topology. I know Simulator is great, and I know Siri Mesh is great. I'm a little bit old school in this sense, because I was taught to really have, again, like full control over what you're doing. And since I'm going to be using subdivision surface, I want to make sure that I know exactly where this is. If you feel confident enough and you feel strong enough in Simulator to be able to do this, go for Simulator. That way you stay in Zbrush, right? Like you don't need to change softwares. I feel that I'm way faster inside of Maya, and that's why I like to switch to Maya. But at the end of the day, it's the same stuff. Like if you're going to be doing poly modeling, whatever tool you feel the more comfortable with, use that tool. Like here, that's going to be another triangle right around there. Yeah, like I can tell you guys, when you're working on a studio, no one cares what you're doing to get to the final result. No one cares. Like they're going to give you a concept. They're going to be like, hey, this is what you need to model. If you're going to be modeling in freaking AutoCAD, as long as you can deliver the final model with UVs and everything, you're going to be fine. Again, no one really cares about what method you use to get to a specific solution. So for instance, here, it's an interesting trick. Well, not an interesting trick. This is an interesting situation, because as you can see, we have a little bit of a bevel there, but I don't want this bevel to flow into this area right here. So that bevel should stop right around there. Right? So it should follow this direction. And then it's going to meet this area right here. And again, it sort of like stops or blends into that point right there. And then here we can start using some techniques. This is one of the most famous techniques to like solve this or like topology issues. And we covered this on the topology course, by the way. One of the most common techniques to solve this is go from three elements to one element. And the way to do it is you grab this guy right here. You create a little sort of like pentagon shape, or like little taper shape like this. And there you go. We've successfully gone from 3 to 1. I call that a 3 to 1 reduction. And you can do 2 to 1 reductions. You can do 1 to 3 reductions. Like there's multiple ways in which you can reduce the amount of polygons. And this is how you control the flow of topology in your assets. Like by doing those kind of tricks. Some people think, oh, that's going to be like AI is going to be doing that in a couple of years. Yeah. I want to see if it does it, great. It's going to save us a lot of time that we can be using in more interesting parts of the process. But if it's not, then that means that you as an artist still need to know how to do it. And until we get there, you should know how to do it. That's the thing about AI, right? Like, yeah, it would be cool if I could just write a prompt and I'll get like a perfectly model, retopologized, unwrapped thing so that I can just jump straight into texturing or something. But until that happens, who's gonna do it? Right? Someone's gonna do it. Right now, I'm just finishing this like center line. We're gonna snap it in just a second and clean it up a little bit. There we go. And then here, as you can see, we keep going forward. And then at the very end, it again sort of like opens up into this like flat effect, which I think could work. So we're gonna use it. You like UVs? I don't love them. I don't hate them. I find them whatever. But yeah, even then, guys, like, you will be able to get like relatively clean UVs, relatively clean topology, relatively clean models. There's always going to be specific cases where you might need to really be creative and optimize things in ways that the artificial intelligence is not going to allow you to do it. And if you don't know how to do it, like, let's say the traditional way, then it's going to be very, very difficult to get something that works. Go. Yeah, so like this one right here. I don't like ending with like a flat surface. So I'm actually going to go back here. I'll probably just like poly model that traditionally in just a second. Okay, yeah, everything else seems to be working, which is missing this part here as well. So this one goes there. Same stuff right there. Like, I don't want to end with like a flat surface. That looks horrible, horrible to me. So we're gonna have to figure something out here on the topology. I'm trying to think. Let's see. Mario says, "Hi Ave, does the environment course go through trim ships?" Yes, I'm actually recording that section right now. So yes, we are gonna cover trim sheets. Does the Monster Hunter maybe have too many pixels for topology? No, Monster Hunter has a problem, not really with polygon count. Polygon count is no longer a big issue in game development. The main issue is shader complexity, is effects, is the amount of NPCs, animations, like all that kind of stuff. So like it's mostly like a texture and like CPU thing. And if you have seen like the forums in Monster Hunter, they talk about that. Like you can have like a very nice card, like a very nice graphics card, let's say a like a 3070 Ti, right? Which is like a strong card. And if you have a bad CPU, the game is gonna run like very badly, very poorly. Okay. So at this point, I'm gonna grab this piece right here. Grab most of the center lines. Go front view. Snap them. And you can work with this symmetrically or non-symmetrically. I'm gonna work with this like non-symmetrically. So for instance, what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna Control E, just push this back a little bit. Control E, push this up. Let's go to a side view. There we go. And then from here to here, we're gonna bridge. Bridge. Oh. Bridge and bridge. And again, traditional poly modeling. So you're gonna have to literally start like pushing and pulling points right there. Okay. I'm gonna push this one here, this one here. Nice. So if I press number 3, as you can see, this thing is gonna start smoothing relatively nicely. It's not perfect, but it's definitely getting there. So I'm going to start adding some support edges, and here's where your topology is really going to shine. Because if I have clean topology, I should be able to really make these lines very, very sharp. See that? Look at that. That's what I'm looking for. Those are like sharp lines that I have right there. That's what I'm looking for. And that's why the topology flow was so important in this particular asset. I'm going to add, for instance, one topology line right here, which as you can see goes all the way around. And I just need to make sure that we're not killing the sharpness of these things, like here. Remember the polygon that we have right here? So I'm just gonna add one line right there. And this triangle, oh, we lost the music. 1 second. Let's go again. There we go. Well, that means that we're halfway through the stream. Whenever the music stops, I know that we're halfway through the stream. That's usually our like oh, not that one. It's like 1.5 hours or something. So here with my cut tool, I'm just gonna cut right there, and as you can see now, the triangle is contained within this very nice edge loop, right? And if I need to make that edge loop a little bit harder, it's very easy because I can just insert another edge loop right there on this line right here. Well, that means that we have like an extra point where we don't need it. Edge line right there, and that becomes way, way sharper. Can you see that? So again, triangles are your friends, guys. I kind of like this thing right here. I think it's looking nice. So what I'm going to do with this particular point is I'm just going to make this points snap to the grid. Like that. This one on the side view definitely needs to be like right around there. And snap to the grid. So that it's one of those like very weird squares that looks like a triangle, but it's actually a square. We can make it a triangle, to be honest. Like, I don't think it's going to affect us too much. And there we go. So now, yeah, again, we press number 3. Really like this shape right there. And we can still take this into Zbrush. We can really, really, really polish them into a nice, clean shape. You see that bump right there? So that's a matter of pushing this. And again, we can fix this a little bit on the high poly. This is not a low poly, by the way, because all of the like the support edges that we just added, that makes it a non-low poly now. But yeah, it's gonna get us close. Yeah, I like it. And that's a very clean shape. Let's of course mirror this to the other side. And that looks way, way cleaner than what we had on the high poly. Like, you can compare the difference here between a subdivided mesh and a retopologized mesh, right? So this is it. Art, hey man, wow, thank you. I think this is the first time we get like a donation like that here inside of YouTube, man. I really appreciate it. Thanks, man. Oh man, thank you. Thanks. Do you ever just use CRAP for retopology? Yes. I've used CRAP. So if it's just like a very basic human character and it doesn't have anything like interesting in the silhouette, right? Then that one works perfectly fine. Let's celebrate. There you go, man. Thank you very much. My friend looks like you. Love your work though. Thank you, Summit. Thank you. So yeah, again, as I was mentioning, look at the difference between like just Dynamesh topology right here and clean topology right here. That's what we're going for. Got a weird point right there. Another weird point right there. And eventually, again, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring this like subdivided mesh into Zbrush, right? And we can keep adding more stuff. We can keep polishing elements. We can trim more elements. Or hard polish. Like, there's a bunch of different things that we can do. I hate that the mirror function in Maya does this. They haven't really said anything about the new Maya 2026. Should be announcing it relatively soon. Let's see what they come up with this year. Hopefully it's something good, because last couple of years, I mean, there's been a couple of cool tools here and there, but nothing really game-changing. Someone asked if I've used 3D Code as well. Yeah, I've used 3D Code. Okay, you guys wanna get fancy here? Here's what we can do. Since we have this thing right here, this like very clean loop, one thing I can do is I can I'm actually gonna delete this edge loop right there. Bye-bye. And I'm gonna grab these faces right here. Control E, offset or thickness. Oh man, I really wanted to offset inside the shape. Okay, we're gonna have to do something a little bit different. No, that should work. Why is it not working? Okay, here's where I'm gonna give a point to Blender, because Blender has a nicer inset tool than this one. Because here, offset should allow me to push the lines here, but as you can see, it's pushing the point of the triangle as well. It's not the end of the world. We can just go here to side view and bring this back into position. But here, yeah, here Blender gets an extra point because the Blender tool there works a lot nicer. And then this one, Control E, another offset. And I'm going to push it up a little bit. And when we smooth, we're going to get that nice little sort of like decal effect. Can you see that? I think that's just like one little extra point right there. And to make this look a little bit sharper, of course, we can add one edge loop right there. It's like an extra little barrier, right, that we have right there on the element. Yeah, that's exactly right, Gabriel. The offset worked weirdly because of the triangle. And this is again a little bit of a shape language that I've seen in the textures of the game, where they have this like extra little lines here and there to help them out. Now, for instance, here, this is an important one, because we already know that this circle, we're gonna do one in just a second with the cylinder, but we want this thing to flow nicely with the circle. So here's where I would grab all of these points right here and just push them up a little bit, so that the conform that we get right there looks a lot nicer, right? When we see both pieces, we want things to flow nicely. Sort of like blend into each other. Follow the curvature of the object. There we go. So that looks a lot nicer. And then this piece right here, we can again fix it a little bit in sculpting. So let's do this circle real quick. So I'm gonna this one I'm gonna get it into a layer. I'm gonna set this to template. It's called template, and I'm gonna start with a cylinder. Let's go front view. Rotate the cylinder like this. Make it as big as we need to. It's right around there. Let's go side view. There we go. Add an edge loop in the center. Extrude the edge loop out. Right? And then that edge loop, which is bevel. And we play with the elements here. Definitely need to push it a little bit more. Same for this ones. And that's it. Because I know that when we smooth this cylinder, right, we're going to get the effect that we want. Now, we grab all of the faces here on the inside. And this offset is going to work nicely. So it's an offset just to hold the corner right there. And that's going to give us the sort of like weird, I don't know how to call this shape. Kind of like a segmented torus or something. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. And yeah. That looks nice. I think I'm gonna harden these edges, to be honest. So I'm gonna make them a little bit bigger, and I'm gonna bevel them. So it's not exactly like flat or round, but it's gonna give us a nice, again, changing silhouette there. And then we need to decide if we want to add again another sort of like detail on one of these like borders. I think it might work, so I'm gonna do another offset here. And then grab that line right there, and that right. Now I cannot talk. I'm gonna grab another line right there, bevel, and push inside. And then that one, that one, that one, and that one. We're gonna bevel all of those. Again, eventually this one we're gonna be able to generate the low poly very easily by just removing edges. We're gonna delete edges, and we're gonna get this thing right here. Yeah, triangles are fine, man. Triangles are fine. A lot of people get really angry about triangles, but they're completely fine. Okay, you guys want to see a cool trick right here? So, see this shadow that we get right here? Like that shadow that's coming from that particular like piece right here? I kind of like that shadow. And I would like to have like an interesting bevel going in that shadow. But if I try to add a bevel, right? If I try to add a line right here, it kills it. It's not flowing properly with topology. Well, here's where we can do a little bit of a trick. Let me show you. This is HardSurface, like a modeling trick. First, I'm going to move the shadow a little bit so that we get that sort of like shape that I'm looking for. So I'm going to give this a little bit of a curvature here. There we go, like a triangle or like a half a moon or something, right? And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go with my cut tool. I'm gonna go to that vertex, and I'm gonna go here. No, not there. Here. 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 And to that vertex again, like that. Okay. And then I'm gonna go from here to here, so that I can move this point up. Thanks for the follow, Warren Light Decay. What's up, man? Welcome. My teacher says that multi-balanced vertex may create pinching on subdivision. It will create pinching on subdivision, but I don't care. You know why I don't care, Summit? Because it's a high poly, and we're gonna bake all of this down into a low poly. So you can do whatever you want on the high poly, as long as you can bake it down into a low poly. Okay? I would not do this if this was a like a subdivision like thing, and I was keeping like clean topology. I would not do this. But again, since this is a low poly, I can do that. Okay. And now, what's gonna happen here? Hopefully, this looks the way I'm expecting it to look. Yeah, there we go. Look at that. We get that nice little like shadow, like pinching thing right there. Okay. I need to push this in a little bit right there. So that helps us generate that nice little interesting shape right there. Okay, that further supports like the shape that we're going for. But yeah, you're totally right, Sumit. This will not work if you're doing like a character or like a deformation or like a car or something. You might not be able to get away with this particular like a process. But for this one, it works perfectly fine. You can see the difference. Like soft, ugly looking shape, like nicer, sharper looking shape. Okay, so yeah, very, very. I wouldn't say it's like a super rare trick, but very, very important to use this. Now, of course, this one again, we need to do another mirror, so we get the same effect on the other one. I'm gonna go vertex and just delete all of the extra vertex that we don't need, and that's it. Okay, so we got one shape, two shape ready. This shape, and this shape, we do need to do it again. We need to do them again. Because unfortunately, we lost a lot of like the very clean silhouettes that we had. But I'm going to show you another trick with this ones. Yeah, let's just do one very quickly. So what I need to do here is I just need to focus on this curve right here. So I'm going to go a live surface. Draw. I'm going to start drawing here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, right there. And then I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Feel like Dora the Explorer now. Let's learn how to count. There we go. So as you can see, it might not be perfectly flat, so I need to make it perfectly flat right there. And I know that when I press number 3, we're going to get a super clean curve on the outside, right? So this one's fairly easy. Let's hide that one right there. We're going to find the... Did we hide the other one? Yeah, this one I think I'm going to make it just a tad bit thicker. Because I want to have a clean like step right here. There's a couple of points that I still need to move because I don't love how like that shape looks right there. A little bit wonky, right? But this one's going to start right there. Let's grab them so that we get a reference. I'm going to mirror this to the other side. And then bridge them all. Right? And once they're bridged, I'm going to grab the corners, including this little guys right there. It's very important, including those guys right there. And we're going to just bevel. I'm going to make the fraction a little bit bigger. Something like that. And there we go. And now, oh, very important, 2 segments. Let's do 2 segments, and now we do want a bigger fraction, but on the depth, I'm gonna set this to 0. So it's gonna be a flat depth, as you can see right there. Okay, why? Because I want to be able to add an extra edge loop, like right there and right there, so that we get a sharper like bevel across the whole thing. Now we bevel or mirror again, so that we get the same bevel on both sides, and that's it. Finally, we do need to push some of these points further in. We're just gonna hide them, right? Just hide all of these things inside this shape right here. Very careful with this ones. There we go. And that's how we get a nice shape. Now let's go back to this one and let's fix. I don't mind that curvature right there. It's this wonky curvature here that I don't like. So again, I'm gonna go to number 3 mode, and I'm gonna start playing with the position of the vertex. I don't mind if I'm moving things on the other side. Why not? Because eventually we're just gonna mirror things again. That looks a little bit better. Still not great. I feel like this should be pushing in a little bit more. And again, remember, this is all about shape language. Oh my god, I actually did move that point, and I don't want to move that point. This is where I might use the lasso tool, to be honest. If I need to. There we go. Much better. See the difference? Let me turn on anti-aliasing. Can you see the difference between this shape right here, that's a lot straighter, and this one right here that looks a lot wonkier? That's the details that you really need to pay attention to. Like, that's the important part. Let's mirror again so that we have the same one on the other side. Look at how this is looking. Nice, right? Let's turn a little bit of ambient occlusion here. And you can see very, very clean shapes. Well, we now should have 3 pieces, right? There we go. Now here on this one, we do need to also overlap this a little bit more. So this one definitely goes inside that stuff. And we do need to add a support edge loop right here so that we don't get any sort of like weird like smoothing effect going on right there. Cool. Let's see. Of course, Christian. Of course, I've tried Topogon. I would normally do Topogon, but we did that last time, I think. So I'm doing Maya right now. Yeah, dude, I love Topogon. Like 99% of the stuff that I do retopology, it's gonna be that. Speaking of HardSurface, how good is it to follow remesh workflow? Yeah, remesh is really good, but you guys gotta understand why we use remesh. So if you're doing, I don't know, like a gravestone, right? Remesh doesn't matter. It's not gonna deform. It's not gonna be destroyed. I don't care. It's just remesh, right? If you're doing like an architectural piece, like a statue or something, and again, it's not gonna move, remesh, decimate for all I care. Like it doesn't matter, right? But if you're gonna be doing a character, or if you're gonna be doing surfaces like this that you really want to have very clean, like topology or very clean like flow, then at that like point, you really need to pay attention to that kind of stuff. So that's why it's important to understand that depending on the type of asset that you're doing, you will need to be doing this kind of like processes, okay? Let's do 1, 2, 3, 4 again. Count with me, guys. It's gonna follow this whole thing here. It's gonna help fix all of that like wobbly surface that we have right there. Now, whenever you have a curve, I've talked about this before, at least 3 points. And here, I know we ended on a triangle, but just to keep things simple, we're gonna do this right here. Let's see. Gabriel, do you think a crease tool would help with the wonkiness? Yeah, crease tool can definitely help. I'm creating a character in Zbrush. I have created the base mesh. Should I add the details there and make it high poly, or should I UV unwrap it and make the details and start the normal map? You can do both of them. If you're ever going to be like 3D printing that character, for instance, Nishank, you might want to add the details on the high poly. But if not, if you're just going to deal everything with textures, you can add the details in the height map or in the normal map in Substance Painter. So it really depends on how much stuff you're going to be doing with that character. If you're ever going to be using that character for like a cinematic, for instance, I would do the details in Zbrush, because you're going to be baking those down into a displacement map eventually as well. So it really depends on the use case of the project. Normally, since I do 3D print a lot of my stuff, I do like to add the detail on Zbrush. Thank you, Kronos. Thank you, my friend. Thanks for the support. Okay, so we got that one right there. Again, first, let's go to the faces and make sure all of them are in the exact same plane. And once we have that, we're going to mirror this. And then we're going to bridge the... oh, I got a cool short for I think it's going to be Sunday. You guys are going to like it. There we go. It's about a special tool here inside. Well, not special, but it's about this special menu. When you press shift and right click, all of the tools that you normally use with edges are going to be here. And this works with faces and everything. So that one's going to be fun. I've already pre-recorded that. Okay, so let's again bevel. Big fraction. Or a little bit of a big fraction. If it's not letting you guys do a bevel there, another option we can do is just grab all of this, Control E, offset, and then a little bit of thickness. And that's also going to give us like the sort of like bevel that we're looking for. Right? So now we can start adding some support edges. Here, here, here. And here. And that should give us a nice straight line. Now, even here, there might be special points, right? Like this one right here. This is why I really like working this kind of stuff inside of Maya, because I know that if I see a curve that's not really giving me like the curve effect, right? It's not looking sharp or clean. It's a lot easier to move a couple of vertices here than it is to move some of the vertices inside of Zbrush. Let's see. How do you plan for the actual plan the first? Yeah, I plan the model first, and then once I'm doing the retopology, that's where I like really start to analyze the edge flow. You guys got quiet. Any more questions? I know this is not as exciting as a sculpting. I apologize, but it's part of the process. If we really want to have some like clean surfaces here, we're gonna need this process. There you go. That looks nice. One more. Let's go with this one. That one I think is fine. Actually, this final one, since it's inside everything, we might be able to just duplicate this one and repurpose it. And since we're repurposing it, one thing, like one upside of doing that is that the shape, like the curvature right here, it's going to be the exact same. So we're following this, as we call it, or as I've been calling it, this shape language. And it makes it a lot easier. The only thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make it a little bit thinner, so that we create that sort of like stair-step effect. And we go from thick, less thick, less thick, less thick right there. At what age did I start learning 3D? I started when I was 19. It was in 2011. And I was born in 1992. 19. Yeah, 19. Actually, 18. Because I started learning like in May. May 2011 was when I first like started my journey, let's say. And that was... And then I turned 19 on August. Yeah, so it was 18. 18 and a half. Hi Abe, I'm working on sculpting a rock for an assignment at Think Tank Center. My supervisor says it's notoriously difficult. Any tips? Yeah, rocks can be hard. Like I'm actually like I have a full chapter about sculpting rocks in Zbrush for the new course, because it can be tricky. My best advice is focus on the planes, Tyra. Focus on the sorry. Focus on the planes and on the different cuts, and don't try to do everything from a single like element. You can like mix and match multiple, especially if it's like a very big rock. You can do like 2 or 3 different variations of a single rock and then merge them together. But the planes, like the clean planes, are very, very important. One like a tool that I like to use quite a bit here, let me show you, is the knife curve. So if you use the knife curve, Dynamesh. There we go. If you use the knife curve, you can start generating some really nice, interesting planes. And very important, you are going to have to work with asymmetry. It's not easy to do this with symmetry. Rocks are very, very asymmetrical. So as you can see, if you start just like cutting away, trimming away, you can get some really, really interesting shapes. And once you have this, right, like this shape right here, you can go with like the mallet fast. And by using the mallet fast, you can start like really creating these trims. I do recommend having a high resolution so that the detail that you're sculpting on the rock really looks nice. Okay, many references. Yes, Becker Draw says right there. That one's also going to be important. But this is how I would start like the blocking of a rock. Trim dynamic, hard polish. There's this one as well, trim smooth borders. That one's also a good one to like clean some of these elements. Okay, so that will be the approach. I'm gonna have a full chapter of how to do this kind of stuff in the environment course, but this is my general approach when I'm like just blocking something up. How was your beginning in learning, especially sculpting, and can you give us some advices? I actually gave up when I first started learning Zbrush. So I enrolled in a school that was available back then here in my country, and they had this intensive course. It was 3 months of just like learning all about like 3D, and they taught us Maya, and they taught us ZBrush, Photoshop, like all of these things, right? And when they taught us ZBrush, I hated it. I hated ZBrush because I was really comfortable using or working with what's the word, with this thing right here, with Maya. So I didn't like it, and I stopped using ZBrush for a couple of months, and I was just like focusing on doing like Maya. But then I was like, hey, if I really want to be a character artist, I need to learn ZBrush because everyone's using ZBrush. Even back then, I'm talking about 2011. So even back then, all of the character artists were switching to ZBrush because they saw how powerful it was. And when I realized that that's what I needed to do, I literally started with simple exercises. Like, hey, I'm going to try sculpting a hand. I'm going to try sculpting a face, a nose. And now I'm going to try to do a goblin, right? So that kind of like learning process is what gave me the practice. Unfortunately, back there were not a lot of like tools to learn ZBrush. Most of the tutorials out online were about like the tools within ZBrush. Like, this is how the trim works. This is how like C-spheres work. But they were not giving you the full process. That's why when I started teaching Beauty Start, I changed my teaching approach. And if you've seen any of my like courses or classes, I do teach the tools, but I apply them to something. It's like, hey, we're gonna do, oh no, like the Oni character, right? Like, we're gonna do a full character, a full Oni character, and as we're building it, I'm gonna be teaching you tools and techniques that you can use to learn how to do this. I feel like that like project-based approach is a lot more valuable when you're learning, because you definitely understand the intricacies of the software as you're doing something that's gonna be functional at the end. So that's what I do. Oh no, Blender is perfectly fine. But you gotta understand that every other specialized tool out there, like ZBrush or Maya or Topogon, right? They will make things easier. The one thing I don't like about Blender, and you, even if you're a Blender user right now, please don't rage at me, but you gotta admit that this is true. Blender is powerful because yes, it has a lot of very cool tools available, but it's powerful because there's a lot of plugins that do that, right? So every now and then I'm like, hey, I want to learn, I don't know, dynamics in Blender, and I look Blender dynamics, like how to do fire, and the first thing someone says is like, okay, you're gonna have to download this plugin right here, and yeah, it might be free, but you're gonna have to download that plugin to be able to do it, right? Or oh, I want to learn animation. Okay, sure, you're gonna use these tools within Blender, but you need this plugin as well. You're doing this specific thing. So it's cool because there's a huge community and there's a lot of tools out there. But it's definitely a little bit complicated sometimes because of that as well, right? Like the fact that you do need to download a lot of stuff, a lot of external stuff, and learn those plugins as well. So if you don't even know how it works on a basic like setup, then learning the plugins becomes even more complicated. That's the problem, right? So how are you going to learn retopology if the first thing that they tell you about learning retopology in Blender is to download an add-on or download a plugin? It's like, well, first explain to me why that plugin is useful. And in order to know that, you need to understand the fundamentals. So it's a tricky situation. Again, I'm not criticizing it too much because I do use Blender quite a bit. But it's just something that you guys need to be aware of. The fact that that happens. Okay, so this is interesting because we also have some like cool shapes in here that I do want to capture. And it's going to require some triangles. Senor, what's up, man? Welcome. Welcome to the stream. Can you recommend anything on art direction, Max Swag? That's a deep question, man. What is art direction? That would be the first like question, right? Thank you, Mango. Yeah, let's save. Oh my god, I just hit Control S. Okay. Whew. Mighty Thor. Let's call this Wings. What is art direction? How would you define art direction? Because you need to define what you think art direction is before you can understand what kind of stuff you need to look for. It's a whole box of chocolates. Yeah, we can define it like that a little bit. Like, what is the role of an art director? Would be my question. How long should it take to do a full character? It depends on the complexity of the character. 20, 40 hours for a relatively simple character. 80 hours, 120 hours for a more complex one. Like, I think I saw one interview that they did to Grassetti when he was working on God of War, and he mentioned that Kratos, it took like 3 months to do. I'm not sure if it was just him or the whole like art team. It took 3 months to do, but 3 months. So if you think about a 40-hour work week, right? You multiply that by 4, that's 160 hours, and then you multiply that by 3. So that's what? I'm really bad at math. 480 hours, I think. So 480 hours for a full character. And I think that was just the sculpt. I'm not sure, again, I'm not sure if it was the whole full production with like textures and UVs and everything, or just like his work on the sculpting of the character. But yeah, it takes a while. So art direction is, or the role of an art director is making sure that a whole team of people develop or create assets in the same visual style. That's right. The same type of colors, the same type of language, shape design. So for art direction, I would say there's a couple of things that you need to learn about. And that's graphic design, like understanding graphic design, understanding forms, understanding composition, understanding values, colors, silhouettes, like that kind of stuff. But also a lot of storytelling. And for storytelling, you can read books, you can watch movies, you can study movies, right? And study what they did to get a specific type of feel. It's a lot about the feel of how you want people to respond to a specific art. That's how you can get to that point. Claudio, what's up, man? All good, all good. We've been working on this character for a couple of weeks now, man. It's been fun. We're working on the helmet now. So there we go. We got this shape. Of course, it looks very wonky, so let's start polishing. By polishing, you guys know what I mean, right? At this point, like talking about this art direction, you know what that means. It means making sure that the silhouettes and everything, they flow in a nice, clean way. That looks not too bad. I have a bevel here that we gotta respect. We're gonna space this out so that we got a nice little balance here. I think the art director decides the style of the project, make sure it's consistent. Yeah, it's part of the role of the art director to make sure that the style is consistent, which can be very challenging. For instance, I'm not sure if you guys have seen League of Legends lately with like the new skins that they're developing. From an artistic perspective, they're freaking awesome. Like they look amazing. But I do feel like the art direction in general has been going bonkers, and you have some really, really like crisp and clean like skins, and then some that look a little bit more grungy and a little bit different. And I understand it has to do with the specific art style of each skin family, but it can be tricky to balance that kind of stuff as you keep going forward. So that's part of the challenge of the art director, like making sure that stuff lines up properly. But that's also I would say responsibility of the artist, because this is something that I've seen quite a bit. People do their work and they get hired. It's like, oh, but this is my style. It's like, no, dude. Once you're working in a project with a studio, it's the style of the studio. It's not your style. So you as an artist, you need to adapt your style and your tools and everything to what they're asking you to do. I hate that point right there. It's a very bad point. We even have like some weird faces. We're gonna have to probably modify this. There's a whole branch of philosophy on the question of the direction of art in about 5. Yeah, I completely agree, Beckerdraw. I completely agree. I'm gonna use soft selection now to sort of like taper a couple of things here. Not too much. This high poly we don't need anymore. There we go. That's great. That's great. So this thing is just resting on this other piece right here. And I actually kind of... I think this guy's right here. They look nice as a flat surface. It's gonna add another level of like bevel. I'm not sure if I want to make it a cap. I think so. Let's try that. Here I'm just gonna Control E. Just push this in. And then just mesh and edit mesh, mesh, fill hole, and then edit mesh and poke. There we go. Grab that whole thing, bevel. And now we start adding our edge. Now here I'm gonna do something a little bit crazy. Well, not crazy, but yeah, that's fine. Because we're gonna get a lot of angons, and I was trying to see if we could avoid that, but I don't think we can. So we're gonna just bevel all those things. So we get those nice clean cuts right there. And then this edge right here, very important. We're also gonna bevel it. It's gonna continue the cut right there. Here I'm gonna do something again a little bit unorthodox. Unorthodox. Just add one edge right there. Actually, not that bad. This one's gonna be really bad, guys. So bear with me. I'm literally just gonna cut right there. And I need to cut right there so that that thing holds very, very nicely, even though we're getting angons everywhere. I don't care. This is the high poly. Oh, you're welcome, Claudio. Yeah, no. All of the stuff is going to be up in the channel, guys. I just need to sometimes download some of the elements to review a couple of things to make sure that we don't get any, like, again, like copyright strike or anything. And once I'm okay with that, I just re-upload this. So yeah, this whole Thor thing is going to be there on the channel. So again, this I'm going to offset just a little bit with 2 divisions, so that we get that nice little cut. Ooh, I love that curve right there. You guys see that? That's a nice little detail, I think. We're almost done, guys. We're almost done with this part right here. Now we're gonna grab this whole thing right here. Same stuff. Control E. Just offset a little bit in 2 divisions. There we go. Ooh, I kind of like that hook right there. That looks interesting. I think we should exaggerate that, to be honest. So I'm just gonna grab this vertex right here. And these are what we call the happy little accidents, right? Where you find something that you were not expecting, and then suddenly it's like, hey, that kind of looks interesting. Let's just use it. Yeah. Yeah, I like that. I like that. We're just missing this piece right here. This piece right here. Oh, you guys feel nervous about endguns? No, dude. Again, this is just for high polys. If this was a different kind of like element, I would not be doing this. But if you're if you're like scared about this endguns right here, let me say real quick. Here's the trick. Mesh. Smooth. That's it. Angles are gone. Everything is quads and triangles now. Yes, it looks horrible. It looks like shit. I know. I know this looks horrible. But this is the high poly. We're going to bring this into Zbrush. We're going to give it another couple of passes there. And then we're going to have to do another low poly. We're not going to be able to extract any low poly information from this one. It's another layer of work. I understand. But we got this. It's fast, right? Technically, we could like solve the perfect topology for this thing right here. But again, it's all about like time management. Do I want to go through that whole process? Or can I just like go a little bit faster here? And I think in this case, we can go a little bit faster here. Now I think I want to merge this with the like front part of the element. So I'm going to use my lasso selection tool, which I don't use often. And then I'm going to use a very like big soft selection here. Push this forward and then make this smaller. So like taper it. Okay. So see how we shape this whole thing right there now? That's how we can play with all of this like elements very, very nicely. Hard surface sculpts need to be debauched twice for cleaner results. Yeah, sometimes you need to do that. Sometimes you need to do that. Now, Thriller. I've been asked that before, Thriller. Thriller on YouTube asking if I could model a shoe. It's such a boring thing that I don't think I'm gonna do it, man. I prefer to do like a boot or like a full plate, like armor or something, but just like a shoe, like a Nike or something like that. No, man. I don't know. If unless I have to do it as part of my work or something, I don't really want to do it, to be honest. Okay, let's. I'm gonna grab all of these guys and get them into a group so that we can hide them for a second. And now it's just this part right here. Again, very simple part. Technically, we could even like a poly. You guys wanna sorry. You guys want to show? Would you guys like me to show you how to poly model this instead of retopologizing it? Because this is a relatively square piece, so everything could start with like a cube. Here, let's try this. That way we see other stuff. Angles are the punks of geometry, not like the quiet and conservative squares. And let's not talk about those triangles, the simpletons. Yeah. Can we smooth edges hard instead of supporting edges? That will you could do that, Summit, but that will be for the low poly. Again, this is a high poly. I'm just working on making sure that we have a high poly. That's what I'm sort of like focusing on. So that's why it's looking the way it's looking. So I'm gonna start with a cube here. Push it to the outside right there. Hey, thanks for the bits, MaxSwag. Let's see. Sorry I have to go. Thank you for the wonderful stream as always. You are welcome, MaxSwag. Have a great one. And thank you for the bits. This will be uploaded soon as well, so if you miss a part, don't worry. I'm gonna extrude this up right there. Let me get this into a template layer as well. Template layers are great because you can see the wireframe of the object without being annoyed by everything else. I was thinking like a product animating thing, but it's getting complicated. But thank you. Yeah, again, it's I haven't done any, like I don't remember if I've ever like modeled like a Nike shoe or anything. I usually do other kind of fantasy things, but I'm sure there's like videos here in YouTube about that, man. There has to be something that can get you closer to that. So we're just gonna poly model this all the way to the front. Add a couple of edges here. Hey, thanks for the follow. Tarnish armor. There you go. We're just talking about armors. I haven't done a character in a while. You guys want me to show you? There's a character that I found the concept a long time ago, and I've been wanting to do him for so long. I think we're gonna do it soon. Or at least I'm gonna do it because I found that character. Let me show it to you. It's a simple one. It's a simple like character. It's this one right here. I don't know who the artist is. I've looked for him online. and I haven't found the artist. But I would love to do this character soon. I'm just trying to find a project where I could use him to teach you guys more stuff. Hydrate, yeah, let's hydrate. Without having access to ZBrush, is Blender a good alternative? Yeah, Blender, Nomad sculpting. Just don't go Modbooks. That would be the only one that I would not recommend at all. Okay, so yeah, this is the basic shape right here. And as you can see, what this thing has is it has a like an indent here, so it's like an offset. I'm gonna offset. Oh. I'm gonna offset here a little bit. And very importantly, I need to go to each of these ones right here. Start offsetting in a nicer, like, curved way. Right? A dwarf with Nikes. Oh, there we go. Push this out a little bit more. And then here, this is important. I'm gonna delete this face and match this to that face right there. Because now we're gonna grab this face is right here. We're gonna extrude again. We're gonna push up. And this one's gonna create this shape right here. I like the workflow of sculpting the base in Blender and then adding the details in ZBrush. Yeah, that's a very common workflow, man. It's a very good one as well. Okay, so we got this right here. And again, we need to push this in a little bit to generate sort of like the round shape that we had. Over here. Again, there's multiple ways to solve this issue here. I'm actually going to snap it there and there, so that we can just fill this back again. That's going to give me the basic shape of the bottom part, and then on the back part, you can see it's a very similar process. So we're going to go roughly to this shape right here. Control E, offset heavily. Well, actually not that heavily, something like that. And then go to this point right here. This is where we start heavily offsetting things. Let's see. Also, B-Ray is teaming with Blender. Yeah, if B-Ray offers B-Ray for free on Blender, poof, that will be massive. Like, massive, massive, massive. I don't think that's gonna happen, because at the end of the day, they're a business, right? But, yeah, that will be, like, really, really interesting. Because B-Ray is really good. There we go. Of course, this one goes like that. And that's it. So now we've created this very interesting shape. And now the only thing we need to do, well, maybe I do want to push this, taper this a little bit. Oh my god. Sorry, guys. Sorry about that. Thanks, you're up. This is the Riot playlist. It's the Diana song. Or, well, it's a bunch of songs. But yeah, we've always used this one because it's copyright free. So we don't get any copyright strike. Thoughts on Nuke? Nuke is like the beast, man. Like, if you're gonna be doing compositing, like for movies and stuff like that, Nuke is a beast. Like, you're gonna be using Nuke quite a bit. Okay, there we go. So now we just need to properly clean the borders here. So down one, down one, down one, down one, down one. And then that one, that one, that one, that one, that one. Actually, I'm gonna wait for those a little bit. So yeah, there we go. I am gonna do that one and that one so that we don't get any engons. So we pretty much have to go all the way around here. Yeah, if you're gonna be doing like compositing for film, you're gonna have to use Nuke. I learned Nuke when I was in school. I haven't used it in years. So I'm not gonna be a good reference to do that. Now here I'm gonna do something interesting. I'm gonna grab just from this edge right here. Oh, damn it! I forgot one edge. Should we do all the edges already? We might as well. This is where like the bevel or edge pro thing from Zbrush might work. There we go. That one and bevel. 2 segments. Nice. Look at that. Now that's what I'm talking about. Yep, I like it. I really like it. The only thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use this thing. Again, smooth it out. So that it goes into that point right there. So like everything blends into each other. Can you see that? So we follow again this sort of like graphical shape. Last thing is I definitely do want to have a little bit of a hard edge on this corner, but I don't want to have it on this guy's right here. So I'm gonna stop it, yeah, right around there. Actually, on the middle point, there. Again, I'm gonna bevel with 2 segments. So that's gonna give me a sharp corner there and a sharp corner here. That's gonna keep smooth over here. Actually, no, I don't like that. Let's go back. We're gonna stop it here. Right there. Right there. Bevel, 2 segments. There we go. So we got nice corner here, smooth there, and smooth here. If this happens to you, if you ever want to fix a bevel, like a bad bevel, just you can just grab those 3 things, merge to center, grab those 2 things, merge to center, grab those 2 things, merge to center, and if you have any extra vertices, you delete. So it is possible to fix a bad bevel. There we go. Yeah, I really like this one. I do think I want to make this a little bit like smaller here as well. So something like this. There we go. Thanks for the follow, Hogni. And we got the follow goal. 2,700 followers. Damn. That's quite a bit. I know we're not Ibai levels, but that's quite a bit. Equinox, thanks for the follow, man. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Every single follow, every single like, share, all that kind of stuff. It really, really helps. I make it look so easy. No, man, it's not easy. Definitely takes time. There we go. Thank you, Wolf Girl, for the cheers. Let's see. If we ended up in a shading artifact in the end of modeling which we are not able to rectify, can we use bent normals to remove? Yeah. You can use that, or you can just like paint it, hide it. Like there's a lot of things that you can do. What do you think about selling an asset pack on the Unreal Marketplace? Is it a good idea for wasted time? I mean, I've bought packets for the projects that we've done. I've bought models and things like that when we don't have the time to model them, depending on the amount of like time that we have available and stuff like that. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with them. I'm not sure if it would be a waste of time, to be honest. That would depend on how long it would take you, right? But I don't think it's a waste of time, man. To be honest, I don't think it would be a good waste of time. I've never done it myself. So I'm not gonna be able to give you an informed opinion about that. I've never done it myself personally, but I know people who sell that kind of stuff, like base meshes and things like that. Just gotta make sure that they're good, right? Like, make sure that whatever you're offering is good. But look at this, guys. Not freaking bad, I think. Not freaking bad. So I'm gonna give them all a smooth, like a permanent smooth, so the resolution is a little bit better. This one as well, and this one as well. There we go. At any point we can undo that smooth, and that looks good. Now I want to check how this looks in the inside of Zbrush. So let's export. Yeah, that's fine for now. Let's call this wing clean. Append sphere, import wing clean. Nice, freaking nice. Look at that, guys. That looks cool. Let's do another smooth right there. A couple more. And mirror and well. Let's geometry. Delete higher. Mirror and well. Yep. Yep, that works. Oh, there you go. That's a freaking strong silhouette. Look, if we just take a look at the silhouette real quick. Let's grab anything else. Like those little changes there, from big to small, right? Look at those curves. Oh my god, the back view. Look at that, guys. Can you see that nice little curve right there? Clean. That little pointy, there's just a little something there. Oof. Yep, I think we did a good job, guys. I definitely feel happy with this because I think we did a great job with that one. Let's turn back the colors. Cool. Now let's go to the helmet. Yeah, we still got some time. You guys up for a little bit more time here? You guys want to work a little bit more on this? If you guys are up for this, we'll do 40 more minutes. But only if you guys are up for it. There we go, Wolf Girl. With the energy, let's go. Okay, so let me grab color. Can I turn this off? There we go. Okay, so let's think about the helmet, because the helmet is very interesting. The helmet for Mighty Thor is very simple. I like this one actually, because it has all of the patterns. I'm not sure if these patterns we're gonna be doing them on the on modeling or on texturing. Like Hela's helmet definitely has a lot of like little details that looked model, even like magic on her armor. But I'm, like this kind of like overlaps, that might look interesting. Yeah, we got a lot of reference here. Let's take a look at Penny. Yeah, it's interesting. I think we're gonna have to do it. Okay, we're definitely gonna split the golden logo from her helmet out. Because look at this. In some instances, the helmet is very smooth, like this one. On the first like incarnations of the character, the helmet was very, very simple. But then on this one that I was seeing here, which is a different artist, I think. This one's a little bit closer to the movie, I think. In the movie, they did use a little bit more paneling. So I want to go a little bit more true to the comics. But I'm going to reinforce some like elements then. Because I didn't dislike the movie one, but I do think that Marvel fights a little bit too much sometimes. So we're not gonna do that. How old were you starting? And we just made the calculation. I was 18 and a half years old. I'm 32 now, by the way. So we're gonna exaggerate this here. How do we decide whenever to model details or texture them? That's a great question. Usually, Claudio, that's a question that you're gonna ask your art director. Talking about art directors, you're gonna ask, hey, should I model or should I sculpt this? Or should I texture or should I sculpt this? And they're gonna be like, oh, don't worry, do it in texturing. And in that case, you just model like the basic shape. For instance, if you're working on like things like again, League of Legends, World of Warcraft, you're gonna texture a lot of stuff. Like you don't need to capture all of that information. You can literally start with a cube and make it look like a freaking like a wooden crate, and you don't need all of the detail. It also depends a lot of time. If I have time, like with this is a personal project, so I have time, right? I would texture, I would model it, because I don't know if I'm eventually gonna 3D print this, right? It will be very cool to 3D print my own version of Thor. So if I'm gonna 3D print it, then I need to have all of the detail baked in. But if I was in a time constraint, I would just do it in texturing. I will definitely just do it in texturing. So here I'm just using trim dynamic. We're definitely gonna need a little bit more resolution here. I'm gonna turn polish off. It's not that I don't like polish, but sometimes it does remove a little bit of the detail that we have. And I don't want that. Now, eventually, we're gonna have to figure something out here with the thickness. Actually, kind of want to do a little bit more of a shadow here. Like following the shape of the eyes. But not too intense. Like maybe kind of like Dr. Doom's mask that we did back last year. For texturing, you mean baking the details or just hand painting? Hand painting. I mean hand painting. Like in World of Warcraft, League of Legends, you know, this hand painted style stuff, you use 3D code and you hand paint everything. You can bake some details out, and you can use those details to help you out in the baking process. But you hand paint a lot of stuff. Yeah, I need to repaint the mask, man. One day, Mango, one day. I need to finish the dragon. I started painting it. I'm working on the base layers right now. What's the difference between adding details in texturing? Because adding details in texturing between sculpting. In sculpting, they actually exist, right? They are physical. They have volume. They have three-dimensionality. If you do that in texturing, it's just a trick. We're just faking that detail is there. So for a game, it might not matter that much, right? Like the difference might not be that evident. But again, if you're going to 3D print, you cannot 3D print a normal map. You need to have the actual detail. If you're going to be using displacement maps, you need to have the actual geometry that's going to be displaced to that point. If you're going to be doing, like cinematics or things like that, you definitely need to take a slightly different approach. But for instance, on this one, right? Like if we're eventually going to be adding like paneling to the character, that paneling I can definitely add in the in texturing, and it's not going to make a difference for a character. Hey, Wolf Girl, thank you very much for being here. We'll see you back next week, okay? Thank you for being here. Let me show you how to fix this one. So this is a very common issue that we get. This sort of like a straining thing, right? Like there's like holes, and that happens when two geometries are very close together. So at one point something happened here with the thickness and we totally missed it. So there's multiple ways to fix it, but probably the easiest one is to just delete all of the bad geometry. So for instance, all of that geometry, as you can see, I'm just gonna completely delete. So I'm gonna say delete hidden and Dynamesh. That's gonna close the hole right there, and then we can plug that hole with literally another mesh. So if I go brush, insert, and we insert something like a primitive, right? Like a icosphere or whatever. right? We just place this where the other thing was. And we literally just plug the hole. Right? Like that. When we Dynamesh again, that thing's going to be like combined. And at that point, it's a lot easier to just use, for instance, our train dynamic. Just push this all the way down back into the surface. And just resculpt. This usually happens on the initial stages. If it happens at a later stage, I'm sorry for you. Because you're going to have to do probably a little bit more rework. But this usually happens on the initial stages of Dynamesh. And it's, again, we're just patching the hole right there. Stefan, hey, thanks for the bits, man. Keep up the awesome work. Thank you, man. I'm glad it's helpful for everyone. Thank you very much. Hand painting models, yeah, I might be preparing something for that in the future. It's a very fun process. Like, stupidly fun. Like, I think from all of the things that I love doing about 3D painting, or the 3D, hand painting techniques are so fun. They're very time consuming. That's why Arcane and all of these games and things take so long to do. But it's so freaking fun, man. I literally feel like a little kid when I'm doing like hand painted stuff. What's the difference? Look at his smile. Yeah, we might be preparing something there. Who's smiling? Who's smiling? Am I smiling? But I need to finish the environment course first, man. I need to finish the freaking environment course first. It's like my... there was a story, I don't know who it was. I'm not sure if it's Michelangelo or Da Vinci or one of this, but every artist eventually has this like big freaking mountain that they need to climb. It's not a literal mountain, right? But like it's something like, I need to finish this because I have a lot of other stuff waiting for me. And I really need to complete this. I cannot leave this abandoned. Because here's the thing. I know I could just stop working on the environment course, but I know that if I stop working on it, I'm never going to go back to it. And I'm going to have to start a new one over. And it's like, no, I've committed too much time to it already. So yeah. Okay, so let's just plan out a general sort of like segmenting things here for the helmet. Something simple. Like just a couple of, again, it's just shape language that we're thinking with. Yep. I know what you mean, man. Let's keep the eyebrow separated. And then, of course, this logo is going to be, again, we're going to extract that logo eventually and do it like very, very clean, very, very nice. And then we're going to have the little like round line right here. Not a huge fan of that like shape, to be honest. But hey, that's the concept. It's like a pointy bit right here. Let's see. Do you know a solution to go higher in poly count with Dynamesh than 4 million? How much RAM do you have, my friend, on your computer? Because the amount of poly count that you can hit with Dynamesh depends on your RAM. Or are you talking about like a Zbrush for iPad? Gabriel, I used to use Mari back in the day. I'm out of date. Like, no. My answer is no. I do not have any current knowledge working with Mari. I'm sure if I had to pick it up, I could, like, relearn it in, like, a month or something because I remember most of the stuff. And, again, most of the things that we learn in 3D and all of this, like, design things, they transfer to other softwares, so you can very, very quickly jump from one software to another. But no, I have not used Mari in a long time. The thing that really takes me out or keeps me out from like learning Mari is the price point, man. It's really expensive software. It's really good. I'm not going to deny it. It's really freaking good, but it's really expensive. Even like their student version is like a little bit pricey, I think. There's a little dot right there. Here's where, again, a little bit of polypaint might be worth it. So I can grab... I mean, this already had polypaint, I think. But I can grab like a gold color or like a pale yellow color. Just paint it real quick. Is Cascadeur a viable option for animating? I'm actually testing that right now. I got Cascadeur, and I've been playing a little bit with it, because we might be using it for the project that we're currently working with the museum. So I will probably be able to give you a more informed decision in a couple of weeks, Divian. But from what I've seen, yes, it's actually like a really, really good, viable option. Okay, I really like the helmet. I think it's looking nice. Cascade, yeah, Cascadeur is on the iPad. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Any app that's on the iPad, I mean, it's not that they're bad, right? But if you're gonna be doing this professionally, it's gonna be very difficult to do everything on an iPad, right? So I strongly recommend that you get like the normal versions. Like Zbrush for iPad, amazing. It's amazing. I use it all the time on my iPad. I've been working on it. Procreate, freaking amazing one, right? But it would be very, like, I could never recommend someone to just get like an iPad Pro and download all iPad softwares and be a professional 3D artist with just that. It's going to be very, very difficult, because even though iPads are very powerful, like the really powerful tools, and the industry in general works with PCs or desktops, right? You can use Mac or Linux or whatever, but you're going to be using a desktop computer. No, I think I'll leave the helmet quite clean, to be honest, guys. And the reason why I'm like going towards that, or deciding towards that, is because we already have a very BC wings. So if we have BC wings and then BC helmet, it's going to be very visually like complex, right? So I think I'm going to keep it like relatively simple on the helmet. Like maybe here on the back, just like some sort of like plate, like something very simple, like an Asgardian pattern or something. You know what I mean? Like simple. We're gonna keep it simple. Yeah, that makes sense, Becker Draw. That totally makes sense. Okay. See, this shader that we're using, this grid metallic, is giving us a very nice texture. Because without the shader, it was definitely looking a little bit weird. This is going to be important. The thickness of the helmet in relationship with the body. Like this point right here. We need to push it a little bit more. How should I study the head and the whole anatomy for sculpting? That's a great question. You can try starting with doing a study of the planes of the head. Have you seen that one before? Here, let me show you. Because if you try to just like model a head from like a character or something, you're gonna struggle if you have absolutely nothing. Of course, we got the anatomy course if you want to check it out. But this one right here, like if you just try to do one of this, like just follow the Loomis head or any of the heads and just try to understand where the planes of the head are and try to sculpt this in 3D. This is a great way to understand like the general shapes. Because if you nail this, if you are able to get these planes, then going from this to like a refined drawing or a refined sculpting or sculpture is very easy. So try to model or try to sculpt just the planes of the head. Just focus on the planes of the head. And from there, again, it's not very simple, right? But it's relatively simple to jump into the next stage, which is like the details and wrinkles and all that kind of stuff. Something like that. There we go. So yeah, we're gonna keep the panels very, very simple. Very simple. You guys want to see something fun? Here, let's save this. And this is the fun thing about 3D. That this is, I don't know, it feels like magic to me. If we load the previous tool, the first one, the first week that we did, this is what we did on week 1. right, of this project. Like it was already giving us an idea of how things were looking. But now, just, what is it? It's been like 6 or 7 hours that we've been working on this project. And we have quite a bit of a change. Like, it's just so simple things, but those little simple improvements can really make the whole thing better, right? And we're just starting. Like, even this is just like the first part of the whole process. So, as we keep polishing and polishing, all of this becomes way more interesting. I think they did a recent like interview about Marvel Rivals. They were talking about the characters, and I think they were saying that it takes them about like 6 months to do a new character. To the whole team, right? Like the whole stuff, like the modeling, animations, voiceovers, what's the word? Special effects, like all of these things. But yeah. Not bad for our Friday, right, guys? Hopefully you've learned a couple of tricks here and there. Yeah, from 2D concept to game ready, right? It's like 6 months per character. In Riot, it's also like 6 months, I think. For planning, skills, balancing, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's Friday, guys. It's Valentine's Day. No, I actually kind of like that division right there. I like this division because she's not going to have any eyelashes, right? So that little volume right there kind of reads like an eyelash. Right, and that can help give us that little feminine look. Oh. Give me 1 second, guys. Sorry, guys. A little family thing. But there we go. We're back. Let's see. Do we got any more questions here? Are you excited about the... Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I have already read the whole, like, manga. I don't normally read mangas, but I was really excited to see what happens on that one. So I read the whole thing, so I know what's going to happen. But, yeah, definitely excited to see it on screen. I'm probably gonna go with my brother to see it because my wife, she likes anime, but she doesn't particularly like that one. We watched the full Attack on Titan one last year. Let's see. I've always struggled with sculpting women. Yeah, women are tricky because of the subtleties that you need to do. But best advice, Gabriel: practice, man, practice. There's no other way. Let's add a little bit of an indication of like a tear duct channel there. Again, just to support the general shapes. My Yanifest, what's up, man? Welcome. And Biska as well. Yeah, have to make the mask more feminine. Yeah, I'm not trying to make it like super... Like right now, the nose looks a little bit too big, maybe. So I'm definitely gonna like sharpen it up. And yeah, I think you're right. This one's looking a little bit too intense. So let's soften that. Let's have a soft curve instead of a hard edge. That looks a little bit more feminine. Maybe the same thing here. We can soften the this right here, and that's gonna help us get a little bit more feminine look. And what I'm trying to do here with the eyelashes is add that nice little curvature. Any anime Attack on Titan fan art sculpt? I tried to do that when I was like when I was a student, but no, I was trying to do Irwin, and it didn't turn out nice. The thing is, anime sculpting is way different than like a realistic or cartoony or stylized sculpting. You need to focus on other types of things, and I haven't practiced enough on that stuff to be proficient at it. I have a very good friend of mine. He does. His name is Chris Silva. He does amazing anime sculptures. Amazing, amazing. Thank you, Murka. Hello. Hello or goodbye. Well, I think this is going to be it, guys. I think we're going to stop the stream right now. Okay. Still need to polish the helmet a little bit more, but I think we did a good push. Again, this is what we had before. Very ugly looking head right there. And this is definitely looking way more interesting. I love how the wings turn out, to be honest. I'm really happy about the wings. Oh, Raycharge, you just got on, man. Oh, man, I'm sorry. We've been doing this for a little bit over 3 hours now. I gotta go back and record more stuff for the new course. But don't worry, all of this stuff is gonna be available soon, okay, Richard? So if you made 5 more minutes. Tayrar, thank you. My teacher also say master male modeling first, then take color woman. Yeah, I mean, you can start with whichever. The thing with male characters is that the room for error is bigger. So if you make an ugly looking like male face, it just looks like an ugly looking male face. It's like, oh yeah, I've seen a couple of dudes like that in my circle of friends, right? So you have a little bit more wiggling room right there. And for a female character, if you make mistakes, it just looks very bad, unfortunately. And that's the complicated part of the process, right? So yeah, starting with a male character is usually a little bit easier. But that doesn't mean that you cannot start tackling female characters. And again, as with everything, guys, practice. Practice makes perfect. So the more you practice something, the more you're going to be able to do it. You keep sculpting handsome Squidward. There you go. Let's see. I'm in my 3rd year game art design course after my 4th year. How should I start? Because I want to be an art designer. Well, Jobiel, I have my same name, Abraham. It really depends on what you want to focus on, man. Like, find the focus. That's the first thing you need to do. What do you want to do? Do you want to design games? Do you want to design characters? Do you want to do 3D design? Do you want to do 2D design? Like, there's a bunch of different variations there. That's going to be up to you on which one you prefer. I think we do need to give this helmet a little bit of a bevel here. There. Of course, that bevel is eventually going to be a lot cleaner once we clean this surface. But I think that bevel is going to be helpful to get a nice little... I'm not sure. Now I'm not sure. Maybe it's just because it's a very ugly bevel. Yeah, no bevel. Just a very soft border then. There we go. For clothing, would C-remesh or quad remesh would be enough for animation? Usually depends on the garment, but yes, like it can work because cloth it's a little bit more like free form, right? If you're gonna be simulating, you're gonna be using something like a Marble Designer for simulation. But yeah, again, you can get away with it. It's not gonna give you the best detail all the time, so a little bit of manual retopology or adjusting might be a good idea, but it can definitely work. Anyway, guys, this is going to be it. Thank you very much, everyone, for being here. We had a great stream today. I'm really happy with how this character is starting around. It's definitely going to take a while to finish this. This is kind of like my fun project, my fun Fridays project. So it's gonna take me several probably months or weeks to get this done, but hopefully you guys will be here for the ride as we keep doing this. Remember, as I mentioned, next week we're gonna have a portfolio review, so stay tuned on Discord if you want to submit your portfolio, because we're gonna open the submission post. We're not gonna tell when. You gotta be paying attention so that everyone gets a fair shot, and once we do that, you can submit your portfolio. We're gonna have portfolio review next week, and then the week after, on the 28th, of course, Monster Hunter Wilds releases, and we're gonna have a special stream where we're just gonna be playing. That's it. We're just gonna play Monster Hunter. We're just gonna have fun, rest at the end of the month, and hopefully by then I'm gonna have more news for you as well, my friends. Okay. Make sure to join our Discord channel if you want to stay up to date with all of the stuff that we're uploading here on the channel. Make sure to subscribe, like, share, and if you want to learn more about the 3D courses, well, you can check out our website where we have all of the information about Zbrush, Maya, Retopology, Blender, everything. So yeah, that's it, my friends. Thank you very much. I'll see you back on the next one. Bye-bye.